We talk a lot about building wealth, but what about building wealth that actually lasts? Like for your kids and their kids? Today we are diving into a really specific playbook for real estate investors. It's designed not just to make you money, but to build a real family legacy, one that can actually beat the odds. So here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll look at the big problem we're trying to solve. Then we'll uncover a pretty unique solution in a niche real estate market. We'll walk through the playbook for passive investors, explore some frankly incredible tax strategies, see how to scale the whole thing up, and finally, how to put your legacy on autopilot. All right, let's set the stage here. The real challenge isn't just making money, it's making sure that money sticks around. You see it all the time, right? These huge family fortunes that just seem to, evaporate after a couple of generations. Why does that happen?
And look at this statistic. It's absolutely staggering. 90%. I mean, think about that. That's a huge failure rate. It tells you right away that the traditional ways of doing things, just setting up a trust or throwing money in the stock market, they're just not working for the long haul.
So that brings us to the big question, doesn't it? If the old playbook is broken for pretty much everyone, what's the new one? How do you actually design a system that's tough enough to survive taxes, bad decisions, and just time itself? Well, the answer we're digging into today comes from finding a really specific, almost hidden opportunity in a corner of the real estate market that most people just completely overlook. It's all about being surgical with your strategy. And here it is. We're talking about a very specific hybrid model up in Burney, California. It targets something called the MICE industry. That's a fancy acronym for meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions. Basically, you're creating high-end rentals for corporate groups, and then you're pairing that with the area's other huge draw, outdoor adventure tourism. It's a killer 1-2 punch. And here's why that strategy is so dang smart. Just look at the built-in demand. This area is an absolute magnet for tourism. You've got over 850,000 people flooding into these natural parks and attractions every single year. That isn't just a trend. That's a massive, consistent river of potential customers that supports the whole investment. Okay, so what does all that demand mean in dollars and cents? For just one premium property that's built for these corporate and adventure groups, you're looking at potential revenue of over $100,000 a year. See? That's the power of finding an underserved, high-value niche. You're not just competing for the average family vacation. Okay, a great idea is one thing. But how do you, as an investor, actually get involved without having to manage a property day to day? Well, that's where a very specific, very clever legal and financial structure comes in. The engine driving this whole thing is something called a real estate limited partnership, or a RELP. It's a classic structure and it's perfect for this. It's simple. You have one person, the general partner, who's the active manager running the whole show, and then you have a group of investors, the limited partners, who just provide the capital and get a share of the profits. And this slide really lays it out perfectly. The general partner, they do all the heavy lifting. I mean everything, construction, marketing, cleaning, the finances, you name it. And the limited partner, that's you. Your role is 100% passive. You invest the money, you get profit distributions reported on a simple tax form called a K-1, and here's a nice perk, you even get to use the property yourself a few weeks a year. Totally hands-off. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. This model isn't just about generating income. It's about using the tax code to literally accelerate your wealth in ways that, frankly, most people have no idea are even possible. We're talking about financial superpowers. Okay, check out this first one because it is just brilliant. The business can legally hire your own kids to do legitimate work. And think about it. A short-term rental business needs marketing, right? It needs lifestyle photos. Who better to be in those family-friendly shots than your own children? So here's the play-by-play. Step 1. You pay your child a fair wage for their work. And because of the standard deduction, that income, up to $14,600, is federally tax-free. Step 2. You take that money and you put it right into a custodial Roth IRA. And what happens in a Roth IRA? It grows and grows, completely tax-free for decades. And what's the result of that simple two-step process? It's mind-blowing. By the time your kid turns 18, they could have an investment account worth over $500,000. That is an unbelievable head start in life, and it was all funded by the business itself. All right, next superpower is for you, the investor. It's called bonus depreciation. In plain English, this is a tax rule that lets the business deduct the entire cost of building and furnishing the property all in year one. This creates a huge paper loss, which you, as a partner, can use to wipe out taxes on your other income. It's a massive upfront tax benefit.
Now, this next one is a total game changer. If you structure your investment in a family LLC and you meet the IRS requirements for real estate professional status, and fair warning, that's a serious time commitment of over 750 hours a year, you can do something amazing. You can literally turn family vacations into business trips. The logic is you're traveling the world to inspect and improve your real estate portfolio, which makes the travel a legitimate business deduction.
But here's the thing. This whole model doesn't just stop with one property. It's designed to be a wealth engine that actually scales itself. It uses this clever financial trick called the builder-developer-promote. Basically, it's a system where the original investors profit from future growth that's funded entirely by new investors. Let me show you how it works. Okay, so for phase 2, the partnership wants to build another house. They go out and raise new money, in this case just over $1 million. But here's the critical part. This money comes from new limited partners, not from the original investors. And bam! The second that new funding closes, a piece of it, $216,000 in this example, is paid out as a development fee. And who gets that fee? The original Phase 1 Investors Partnership. That is an instant profit in your pocket, and you didn't have to put in another dime. And it gets even better. On top of that one-time payment, the original investors company now also gets to collect ongoing management and resort fees from that new property every single year. This creates a brand new stream of passive income. So for every new house that gets built, your own personal wealth engine just gets bigger and stronger. So when you start stacking all these pieces together, the niche market, the passive structure, the tax superpowers, the scaling model, what you end up with is something way more powerful than just an investment. You've actually built a system for creating a legacy that can pretty much run on autopilot. Let's just do a final side-by-side. On one hand, you've got traditional planning, which is often complicated, needs constant babysitting, and is totally vulnerable to the whims of the market. On the other hand, you have this real VEP model. It's built on a real physical asset that's debt-free and spits out cash. The tax benefits are baked right in, and the ownership structure makes passing it to the next generation incredibly simple. So I'll leave you with this one final thought. At the end of the day, it really comes down to this question. Are you building a nest egg? Something you have to constantly guard and protect, something that can run out? Or are you building an engine, something that works for you, that grows on its own, and that powers the future for generations to come?